They never told you this. That the biggest shifts of your life wouldn't feel like explosions or fireworks. They would feel like confusion, silence, and stillness. That the most powerful moments of transformation wouldn't come with fanfare, but with a subtle sense that something just doesn't fit anymore. You wake up, look around at your life, and it feels like you've outgrown the frequency, like the walls are made of old versions of you. Not wrong, just expired. And then, something inside you whispers, it's time to jump. Not physically, not symbolically, quantumly. Most people think quantum jumping is a metaphor, a spiritual way of saying change your mindset, or imagine a better future. But what if it's not a metaphor at all? What if, just like in quantum physics, it's a real, measurable process? A shift of energetic alignment so precise, so immediate, that the change occurs without a bridge. No step-by-step, no staircase. Just relocation of self, like an electron, jumping from one orbit to another, without passing through the space in between. In quantum mechanics, this is called a discontinuous transition. The electron doesn't travel from one energy state to another. It disappears from one place and appears in another instantly, when enough energy is absorbed. That's not poetry, that's physics. And what if you, as a vibrational being entangled with infinite timelines, function the same way? What if every time you felt the urge to let go, break free, or walk away, it wasn't just emotional restlessness? It was your field preparing to jump? But here's the thing. Most people don't listen. They rationalize. They wait. They analyze the cost of change while their soul is already gone. The mind tries to catch up to a decision the heart already made. That's why transformation feels chaotic, because you're fighting a jump that already started, and the only thing delaying it is your attachment to the how. See, quantum jumps don't follow logic. They don't need explanation. They only need coherence, alignment, a decision that vibrates louder than your fear. That's when the field responds. That's when the jump locks in. And you felt it before, haven't you? That moment when a relationship ended, and you felt 10 years lighter. When you quit the job, and the air suddenly tasted different. When you stopped explaining yourself, and the world responded with silence, and then with miracles. Those were jumps, not gradual changes, not linear progressions, leaps. Not in your calendar, but in your signal. And the reason you didn't see immediate proof wasn't because nothing happened. It was because the field was still reorganizing around your new coordinates. Because that's how it works. The moment you choose, not wish, not hope, but choose a new state of being, the field begins rearranging. But most people abort the jump too soon. They get nervous when nothing changes in 3D right away. They doubt, they return, and the timeline collapses back to the familiar. But here's the twist. Quantum jumping doesn't require belief. It requires broadcast. You don't have to convince yourself it's real. You just have to stop sending the signal of who you used to be. And that's where this video begins. Because over the next few minutes, you're going to understand why quantum jumping is not a metaphor. It's a process, a science, a strategy of vibrational precision. And when you learn how to engage it deliberately, without waiting for life to push you, you stop reacting to circumstances. You start selecting them. So don't try to understand it all at once. Just stay. Watch what unfolds. Because if something already feels different in your body right now, you may already be jumping. You can't jump while holding on. That's the first rule, and the one most people resist. Because jumping isn't about getting something new. It's about becoming someone different, and that means letting die what no longer vibrates. Thoughts, habits, personas, timelines, narratives. Not all at once, but energetically, fully. You can't broadcast the frequency of your future while staying entangled with the emotion of your past. The field can't receive two signals at once, and it doesn't respond to the louder voice. It responds to the clearest one. This is where quantum mechanics and identity psychology overlap. In the quantum field, all possibilities exist simultaneously, as potential. You don't create your new timeline, you access it. And the key is not in doing more, trying harder, or visualizing longer. It's in collapsing the wave of your current self, becoming emotionally and neurologically unavailable for the version of you that created this present reality. And that's the paradox. You don't find your new life by fixing the old one. You jump by no longer being the one who needed it fixed. This is not theory. In neuroscience, we know that identity is not just a story, it's a set of neural pathways. When you wake up and immediately replay your problems, anxieties, regrets, you're reactivating the familiar self. That self has a frequency. That frequency tells the quantum field, keep broadcasting the same. But what happens when you interrupt that loop? When you wake up and ask, what would my future self do now? And then, without evidence, you act as if, not pretending, not faking, but deciding. Because every future is a frequency, and every identity is a code. You don't earn it, you tune to it. And that tuning requires one thing above all, emotional congruence. If you affirm abundance but still feel scarcity, the field responds to the feeling. If you visualize success but still carry guilt, the field mirrors the guilt. That's not failure, that's feedback. The universe is not judging you, it's calibrating to you. So the question is, what are you still emotionally practicing that belongs to the self you're leaving behind? Worry, people-pleasing, hiding? These aren't just patterns, they're frequencies, and they're keeping you entangled with the timeline you say you want to leave. To collapse the identity is to stop rehearsing it, and you don't need 30 days, 21 steps, or a ritual moon cycle. You need a moment of total, energetic honesty. You look at the version of you that is addicted to the old story, and you say, I love you, but I no longer choose you. That's the split. That's the jump. That's the shift the field responds to, because the field is always scanning for coherence. Not perfection, not excitement, coherence. A state where your thoughts, feelings, actions, and beliefs all match the frequency of the life you say you want. When you hit that note, even for a second, the quantum field locks in. And then something strange happens. The need to prove, to push, to get dissolves. You feel neutral, clear, and that neutrality isn't detachment. It's evidence that the old identity is no longer active. This is why transformation feels boring sometimes. Because without the drama of doubt, without the friction of duality, there's just presence. And presence is power. You are no longer waiting for the shift. You are no longer becoming the self. You are the self. And the field, like a mirror with no delay, begins to reflect that back. But only if you hold it. Only if you don't blink. Only if you don't revert when the evidence doesn't show up on your timeline fast enough. This is what separates a quantum jumper from a quantum wisher. One sends a signal and stays in it. The other sends a signal and waits for proof. And when the proof doesn't come, they collapse back into the old self, the old broadcast, the old life. But not you. Because by the end of this video, you'll know how to hold the signal, how to drop the doubt, how to collapse the you that can't go where you're going. This isn't about metaphysics, it's about memory, remembering the version of you that already exists, and choosing to live from there. And in the next part, I'll show you how to make that choice stick. Most people don't need more information. They need a protocol, something they can actually do when the mind spirals, when the body panics, when the old identity tries to pull them back. So let's break the myth right now. Quantum jumping is not a one-time decision. It's a sequence, a vibrational ritual, a daily act of collapsing the illusion that you are fixed, limited, or late. The process has 5 steps, not linear, not forced, but energetic postures that allow you to become the version of you that already exists in the timeline you've been trying to reach. Let's call it the broadcast shift. Step 1. Recognize the discomfort as a signal, not a sign of failure. Every time you feel the old self coming back, the fear, the self-doubt, the delay, don't judge it, don't resist it. Recognize it as your signal that you are on the threshold of the jump. In quantum terms, the discomfort is energetic interference, static between your current frequency and the one you're tuning to. The mistake most people make? They interpret the static as a no, when it's actually a recalibration. Step 2. Interrupt the emotional pattern immediately. When the old emotion kicks in, your body wants to follow the path of least resistance. The familiar story. But here's the power move. Interrupt the broadcast. Change your posture. Change your breath. Speak out loud. Do something physical and symbolic to stop the loop. Neuroscience shows us that pattern interruption is the fastest way to disrupt neural coherence and create space for a new choice. Step 3. Embody the frequency of the timeline you want. This is the jump point. You ask, if I already had what I wanted, how would I feel? And you let that feeling take over your nervous system. Not pretend, not visualize. Be, for 90 seconds, 3 minutes. However long it takes to flood your field with coherence. You don't need to see the outcome. You need to feel the alignment. The field doesn't measure the outcome. It measures the signal, so broadcast it. Step 4. Make one action from the new identity. Quantum jumping doesn't mean sitting in silence waiting for reality to catch up. It means taking action from your new broadcast. Not to get something, but to demonstrate the shift. Maybe it's a message you send, a boundary you hold, a new thought you practice. It doesn't matter how small. What matters is that it's in character with the version of you that's already living in the new frequency. This creates entanglement. The field begins to mirror back proof because your signal just became measurable. Step 5. Detach from the timeline. Stay in the vibration. This is the most misunderstood part. Most people do the ritual, feel good, and then start scanning reality for results. The moment you look for proof, you've stepped out of frequency and back into fear. Real jumping means staying in the vibration even when nothing changes yet, especially then, because that's the ultimate test, and the field is always listening. Let's make this tangible. Try this ritual tomorrow morning. Wake up, sit upright. Before checking your phone, ask, which version of me am I choosing to broadcast today? Then close your eyes, breathe, and feel the answer, not from thought, but from posture, breath, and energy. Maybe the answer is calm, bold, trusting, expansive, free. Whatever the answer, hold that signal for 2 minutes. Then walk into your day as if nothing else exists but that version of you. Speak from it, move from it, react from it, and watch what shifts. Because when your entire being becomes the new signal, reality no longer has the choice to resist. It must obey. Not because you forced it, but because you're no longer matching the old reality's echo. You've stopped being a receiver. You've become a transmitter. And transmitters don't chase proof. They create it by holding the frequency until it materializes. In the next section, we'll explore what gets in the way of this process and why most people collapse the new broadcast without realizing it. More importantly, I'll show you how to anchor the jump. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't fail to jump because they didn't want it enough. They fail because they didn't understand the mechanics of energetic sabotage. They thought the doubt was harmless. They thought checking for results was normal. They didn't realize that every time they asked, "Is it working?" they were collapsing the broadcast and falling back into the orbit of the old self. Let's break this down. In quantum physics, the observer effect shows us that the act of measuring a particle changes its state. In human transformation, the act of doubting your shift changes its frequency. It's not about being positive all the time. It's about not interrupting the new signal with the old identity's fear. Because here's what happens. You declare a new version of yourself. You feel it. You act from it. The field begins to respond. But then, silence. No proof. No sign. Your old programming kicks in. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I did it wrong. And in that moment, your frequency collapses. Not because the shift wasn't real, but because you stopped broadcasting it. and the quantum field can only mirror what you sustain. This is where emotional mastery becomes essential. Not emotional suppression, but awareness. You start to feel doubt? Name it. Don't become it. You feel impatience? Observe it. Don't feed it. You catch yourself looking for signs? Pause. Return to signal. Remember, every emotion is a frequency, and the field is not personal. It's mechanical. It doesn't punish you for fear. It just reflects it. So the question isn't, how do I stop feeling this? It's, which feeling do I choose to embody even when this one shows up? This is what it means to anchor the jump. You don't wait to feel ready. You practice being the signal until that signal becomes your nervous system's default. And here's the paradox. The less you chase the result, the faster it arrives. Why? Because chasing implies separation. Separation implies lack. And lack tells the field, this isn't mine. So when you say, I'll believe it when I see it, you've already lost. But when you say, I believe it, and that's why I'll see it, you've jumped. That's what it means to choose yourself, without proof. To back your new identity even when the world hasn't caught up. To stop waiting for permission to be who you already are. And that's what I want you to claim right now. So here's your invitation, not just to observe this content, but to engage it. Comment below, I choose myself. Say it, type it, anchor it. Not for me, not for the algorithm, for your own coherence. Because that act, that micro-broadcast of emotional certainty, is exactly what your field is waiting for. Not action, not perfection, alignment. Alignment that says, I don't need to be convinced, I'm already there. This is how timelines stabilize. Not through effort, but through repetition of signal. The one who returns to the vibration the fastest, regardless of what shows up, is the one who shifts reality first. And that could be you. I'll show you now what happens once the field begins to respond, and why the chaos you may feel isn't proof of failure, but confirmation of the shift. So what actually happens when the jump begins to land? Not the visualization, not the decision, but the moment when your field, your sustained broadcast, becomes so consistent, so precise, that the quantum field has no choice but to reflect it back. Chaos, silence, reorganization. Because here's the part no one tells you. Your new frequency doesn't just attract what you want, it repels what no longer matches. And that, at first, can feel like loss, like confusion, like everything is falling apart right when you finally committed to the new version of yourself. This is the paradox of the shift. You jump, and suddenly your relationships feel distant, your job feels foreign, your habits feel toxic. Nothing bad is happening. What's happening is energetic misalignment being exposed. Think of it this way. You were once vibrating at 93.7 FM, and your life, your people, your patterns, your experiences were all tuned to that signal. But now you've shifted. You're at 104.5. You're still in the same room but broadcasting something entirely new. So naturally, some things start to drift. Conversations feel off. People don't understand you. Opportunities disappear. The familiar feels hollow. That's not regression. That's resonance correcting itself. In quantum terms, you've shifted your vibrational signature, and the field is now recalibrating, removing everything entangled with the old you. It's not rejection, it's realignment. You may feel alone. You may feel tested. You may question if you made the right choice. But this is exactly the space where reality starts to bend. When the old timeline loses grip, and the new one hasn't fully materialized yet, you're in the void. The sacred in-between. The place where your job is not to react, but to remain in signal. This is where your nervous system is most tempted to go back, to reach for the familiar, to apologize for the shift, to tone it down, slow it down, second-guess the decision. But this is the moment of anchoring. Because what most call tests from the universe are not tests at all. They're echoes. Echoes of your past frequency bouncing back one last time, asking, are you sure? And you don't answer with words. You answer with embodiment. You wake up. You breathe into the frequency of your new self. You take actions that the old self never would. You stop explaining your evolution to those who demand evidence. You let go, not of people, but of the version of you who needed their validation. And then, something shifts. A message from someone new. An opportunity that didn't exist before. A synchronicity so perfect, so improbable. It makes you laugh through the tears. These aren't coincidences. They're confirmations. Proof that the field has locked in. That the broadcast is now your baseline. That you're no longer leaking energy into old stories. It may not happen all at once. It may take a few days, a few weeks. But it always happens. Because reality isn't random. It's rhythmic. And when you become the rhythm of your next level, your timeline tunes itself to you. So don't fear the silence. Don't interpret the void as failure. Don't mistake the loss of alignment for punishment. Instead, see it for what it is: a clearing, a vibrational detox, a cosmic vacuum, making room for the version of you that's already arrived, waiting to be received. And in the next and final part of this video, I'll show you how to stay on the new timeline long enough for the breakthrough to become your new normal. Because it's not enough to jump. You must remain. There's something powerful about a decision no one else sees. A quiet choice you make within. Before the evidence, before the applause, before the alignment shows up on the outside. That's the real quantum jump. Not the vision board, not the meditation, but the moment you stop broadcasting lack and start embodying your own frequency with no witnesses but the field itself. Because the field is always watching, not like a judge, but like a mirror, a neutral, infinite intelligence that bends to one thing only: your broadcast. And now you know what that broadcast truly is. It's not your thoughts, not your wants, not your words. It's the vibration you hold, even when no one is looking. And the most potent frequency you can hold down is certainty. Not certainty in outcome, but certainty in self. When you choose yourself, not once but over and over, in the silence, in the unknown, in the waiting room between identities, you are sending the strongest signal the universe can receive. You're saying, "This is who I am, and I don't need proof to be it." That's when the shift becomes real. That's when the new timeline can finally land. Not because you chased it, but because you matched it. You became it. And from this point on, reality is no longer a condition. It's a confirmation, an echo of the version of you that already exists, now made visible. So don't look for results. Look for resonance. Don't ask, "Is it working?" Ask, "Am I broadcasting my future or rehearsing my past?" That one question will collapse illusions, timelines, and old selves in a single breath. Because when you stop seeking the shift and start becoming the shift, everything reorganizes around you. And it won't be dramatic. It won't be loud. It'll be subtle, elegant, inevitable. A new friend who arrives at the exact moment you stop needing one. An idea that shows up when you stop forcing answers. An opportunity that makes no logical sense, but every energetic sense. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's the quantum field whispering back. Message received. So if you felt something stir in you during this video, if something clicked, shifted, resonated on a level you can't quite explain, that's your field moving. That's coherence rising. That's your new timeline opening. And here's what I want you to do next. Nothing drastic, nothing big. Just take one small step. From this frequency. Maybe it's writing the version of you you're broadcasting now. Maybe it's deleting the thing that no longer matches. Maybe it's sitting in silence and breathing as your future self for just 60 seconds longer. Whatever it is, let it come from certainty. And if you want to continue receiving content that aligns with this field, that supports your expansion, your coherence,